but I just want to share about my own story. Like usually people knows me as a international triathlete or golden girl or history maker in triathlon. But how do I got all these names? What is my story? I would like to share some incidents of my life which gave me all these names. I met with some activity with sport. So they enrolled me for swimming, skating and gymnastic. So I started doing all those things. And the additional point which they had in their mind was that will keep me busy and I won't end up doing all the rubbish things which usually people, young kids do. Yeah. So I started doing swimming and one of the coach over there, he saw me. He thought that I'm having something different than the other swimmers with whom I was training. And at the end of that 3 months of vacation period, we had this competition by SMC, Surat Municipal Corporation. But unfortunately, the age group in that competition starts from 10 years onwards. And I was 9.5 at that time. So initially, they denied. Trustee of my school was then commissioner at SMC. So he recommended my name and I got that entry in that race and we went for the race. When I entered the swimming pool, there was one table lying just beside the pool and it was having all the trophies on it. And there was this trophy cup, this big, almost half of my size from that time. So I looked at that cup and I asked my father, who get that thing? But that thing attracted me a lot. I wanted that cup anyhow. So my father could read all those things on my face and he simply smiled and he was like, whoever comes first will get that thing. So I again asked him, to be sure, if I come first, will I get that thing? So he was like, yeah, of course, if you can come first, you will definitely win that cup. I was like, okay, I want to win that. Though me, my father, my coaches, everyone was damn sure there is no way I can win that cup because my performance was not that level yet. Because I was just 3 months old swimmer. I don't know what happened to me. I started my race. When I finished it, when I touched the wall on the other side, I came to know I created new record for that particular distance, which was just 25 meters, not longer one. But I created new record and I came first and finally I won that cup. And after which I have participated in many district, state and national level races, starting with bronze medal, climbing up till gold medal and created new records and everything came across. My coach suggested us that you should start doing run because running is also a really good way of cross training and to building up. It will help me to build my endurance for the particular race. So that's how I start doing running also. Then later, after 1 or 1.5 years, I came across a sport called aquathlon. So aquathlon is a combination of swimming and running. So I enrolled myself for that and I got selected for the national, went in the national and won bronze medal over there. And during the medal ceremony of that race, I came to know that in the history of 15 years, since the aquathlon is there in nationals, no Gujarat athlete have ever won medal in aquathlon. In 2016, I went for junior aquathlon nationals at Bhopal. I remember the date, it was in November. I went there, I won gold medal. And we had this Triathlon National Championship on the very next day. And they said we are going to have medal ceremony of aquathlon and triathlon together. So anyways, we have to wait for another day. Looking at my past performance, one of the officials from Federation, he approached my father and he told my father if your daughter would like to participate in triathlon, we can give her a wildcard entry because she is performing so well and we had not received any entry from Gujarat. Next day when I reached at the venue, I came to know that they hadn't found anything. and I don't have any bike. So we started looking for some bike if that is available just before the race. And then one of my friend at that time, he saw that there was a bike lying just beside the mandap, the tent that was made there. So he tried to get that bike. He tried to find a person who is the owner of that bike, but we couldn't find anyone. And then finally we decided, let's just break the lock. Whoever that person will be, will pay it off. Okay. And then by the time we were trying to break the lock, that person came running. He was the one who has built that mandap. That bike was Mach 1 in really khasta condition. The paddles were dancing. The handlebars was, okay, just was there to hold. So I said, okay, anyways, I just have to participate. So the race started. I came out of the water first. Because I was the fastest swimmer in that entire batch. So I came out of the water first, then we started with bike leg, and I could see one person is crossing me, then the other one, then the other one. And I could see, like, okay, I'm the last one to get back in the transition area after finishing off the bike leg. I was like, okay, I don't have anything to lose. Why would I care? I just want to have fun. Then I started doing running after putting my bike back in the rack. Then I could see, okay, there's one person, I can catch that. You know, you have that competitive mindset by all this time of training and all. So I covered 1, 2, 3, 4, and then by the time I crossed my finish line, I came to know I'm the first one to cross the finish line. And that gold medal gave me a chance to participate in national games. Now, national games is something called as Indian Olympic. Just like you know how Olympic Games are, you stay in one village, have all the games at the same place. So national game is something like that, the highest game of India. And that is in the senior category. So that was in Feb 2007, just after 3 months of my first ever triathlon nationals. So I trained myself. I was not having that much money to buy a racing bike. Because a racing bike would cost you 1.5 to 2 lakh, and I'm talking about 2006. I got a sponsorship and I bought this 8,000 rupees bike, a regular Indian bike, and I started practicing on that thing. I went for my national. When I reached there, people looked at me, my equipment, which was definitely not at the mark of a racing equipment. They bullied me. Well, I was the youngest one. I was too thin, just skeletal, and my equipment was the worst possible ever. So I had no proper resources to participate in the race. And I participated next day, and I ended up winning gold medal with a record time. And that was the starting of my winning gold medal at Senior National Triathlon Championship. Then after I won almost 7 times consequently. And the biggest challenge I had at that time was there was no triathlon specific coach in India. We did not have any coach, not even single one. So I had to end up training with 3 different coaches, one for swim, cycle, and run. And somehow I was above average with cycling and running also. So those coaches were also like, you should compete in our races. You have good potential, you can be in this, that. And then after stretching myself in 3 different ways, I started ending up with a lot of injuries. There was a time I got this ligament injuries in my rib. My ligaments were tear, and I couldn't do anything for 1 year. I went to several doctors. They could not find out what is the problem with me. I went through all kind of testing, from sonography to X-ray to CT scan to whatnot, but they couldn't find out. Luckily, during this time, I met one of the athletic coach. He was quite senior, and when he saw me, he understood what is wrong with me. So he came to me. He told me that, you know what, you go to this doctor, tell him this thing, and he will give you this kind of treatment, and you will be fine. Actually, when I went to that doctor, he did the same story. And then I couldn't do anything for next 6 months. So my entire year was at home. At that time, I thought, like, okay, fine, I cannot train myself. I can study. I have good chance of studying.
So that's how I started studying, focusing more on my study, and that year I passed out with really good marks. And again I started from scratch, and that was the time when my father came into picture. My father said, I'm not going to continue with my job because when I was going for my job, she ended up with a lot of injuries. So he left his job, he took VRS so that he can concentrate more on myself and he could train me in a proper way. Then he started researching on the web. As I earlier said, we don't have any triathlon specific coach, and that's how I was facing a lot of problems, a lot of injuries and everything. He started researching and he became my coach. He learned everything. I won my first ever international medal at Kazakhstan in 2009. Next day we came back to Delhi because we were having flight from Kazakhstan to Delhi to my place. So we reached Delhi around 2 a.m. at night. I was damn tired. Me and my father went to a hotel. I was almost about to get sleep. I got called. That person said, I'm calling from the CM house and CM sir would like to talk with you. At that time, CM sir was Narendra Modi, Mr. Narendra Modi, who is our PM currently. So I was like, okay, someone is messing up with me. I just disconnected the phone and I slept again. Then we got called again. So at that time, I just gave my phone to my father. See, someone is just messing with me. You just talk with him and tell him, don't mess with me at this time, I'm so tired. He took the phone and he heard the same story. And he was also shocked. But we couldn't believe that this can happen with us. So we didn't take it seriously. And after we disconnected that phone, my mother called me and my mother was like, you will get a call from CM house because I just now got a call from CM house and they would like to talk with you. So we really got a call from the CM house. Then next day he called us to meet him at the office. So I had to call that number back. I couldn't reach that person. In the morning I again got a call from him. I told him that I am at Delhi. I cannot reach at 10 at the office. Can I come tomorrow morning? And then next day he agreed and next day I went there. When I reached to that CM office, Narendra sir was sitting there. I opened the door. He got up from his chair. He came all the way to the door to receive me. He took me inside. He hugged me. He called me his niece and he appreciated me in a very, very different way, very special way. And that's how, that was really amazing because, it's not easy to meet a CM. And that person was giving you, he sat with me 1 hour, he discussed everything and what are the things that I'm facing, challenges and all. And then after he sanctioned 1 lakh rupees to buy a new racing bike. And that's how I practiced more. I started participating in more races and all. And I became the first ever female, let's say, the first ever triathlete from India who have represented India at Asian Games or World Triathlon Championship. Then in 2016, I met with really good accident, after which my doctor said, you cannot continue with triathlon anymore because I had some really good knee injuries. So anyway, I had to drop back. Then my parents were like, you are the MSc distinction pass out, you can get job, which I had got after my university campus interviews. I had that job at that time, but I wasn't feeling so good about that job. So I said, yeah, I understand I'm having a job, I can continue with that thing, but I'm not loving it. I was enjoying more doing triathlon than doing this computer engineering job of being a programmer. So I kept on thinking, what can I do? What can I do? And then this thing came across me. Okay, I have achieved a lot of things from triathlon. Why don't I give it back to the sport? I knew that I had faced challenges because I didn't have a proper triathlon coach. Why don't I become a coach and help other triathletes to grow so that they don't face what I had faced? They don't end up with like multiple injuries in their body, which I had to go through, and it took me much longer time to achieve what I could have achieved earlier if I had a coach. So then after I started studying about triathlon coaching, I got my level 1 certification from ITU. Then I started training people at, training athletes at national level and state level and all. Then later I finished my level 2 and became the first ever ITU level 2 certified coach in India. And now I'm running my academy, TriSports Academy, and I train people for aquathlon, duathlon, triathlon, and I train national athletes and Asian athletes so that they don't have to go through the same part. I want to design a path for them so that they can grow much ahead of me and they can bring more laurels for our country, which some way I couldn't reach there. All this thing did not stop there, or this wasn't the end. During my coaching also, I was missing that the triathlon practicing, training part, competing part. So then I decided, okay, I cannot go for a regular high-intensity training, but I can still participate in Ironman, which is an endurance one, so I don't have to push myself that high in a speed thing, but I can still continue at a medium pace and go for the longer distance. Now, half Ironman distance is 1.9 kilometers of swimming, 90 kilometers of cycling, and 21 kilometers of run. So I trained myself for that, and just recently, 4 months back, I became the fastest half Ironman athlete of India. So there were so many ups and downs, there were so many dead ends for me during my career. But I think if you have that dedication, if you have that passion that no matter what, I want to continue with the thing, I want to prove myself, just prove to yourself, don't try to prove to the entire world, because then you will end up with something else. And trust me, destiny plays really big role in your life. God is always there, He knows where you have to go. He knows He has already finalized your destiny. So even if you feel you are getting dead end at this place, there is something else that you have to do. Find for that another way. So this is the new beginning of me, and I'm sure after this thing, you also have a new beginning of yourself. Thank you so much.